Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of The Right Stuff, a Blood Bowl podcast brought to you by Empire Games, coming out of sometimes lovely, always speculating Anderson, South Carolina. I am Yannie here with Nathan, and we've got cool things to talk about.
Yeah, I didn't have a new edition of Blood Bowl in my bingo card. There was a lot of rampant speculation over the summer about a new edition coming, but it's good to see it officially announced, even if we don't have a date for it yet. Happy to see it right around the corner. Yeah. We were talking about what should we do about the bomber problem, right? That was really funny to me. Internally, we were discussing in the league how should we solve a problem like bomber triple snot. Maybe he just gets solved with the next edition.
Praying for that. Yeah.
Right. Let's see some stat changes. I wouldn't be mad at that.
I know a bunch of people were, I think, worried. They were on watch when there wasn't an announcement at Nova, because that's the normal time that you would get some sort of a Blood Bowl announcement. So people, when there just wasn't one, I know people were kind of freaking out, but they just saved it for the day after. It's fine.
Yeah, right. The timing of it's kind of funny, right? You would think that they would want to advertise it, right? If you've got a platform, you may as well just shout it as far as and as wide as possible. But I don't know, whatever. The news got out there for sure.
Yeah. Yep. Well, Games Workshop, you can come ask for our resumes if you want us to work on your product launching. Yeah. We'll be open to that, I guess. But we got some games to cover before we get into Season 3. So, yeah, let's jump into it. We got some Week 11 catch-up. We got the Metropolitan Dumpster Rats and Darn Tootin'. It was a 3-1 win for the Dwarves. And that was a game that ended up eliminating Barbie from playoff contention.
Yeah.
She had to go on a run.
Yeah, and her team got beat up in the process of the game. I was talking to her about, I felt like she made a lot of progress this league. She scored 20 touchdowns, which is pretty good. Other people with her similar record weren't putting as many touchdowns on the board as she did. I think the ability to hurt players is an important thing in Blood Bowl, right? The ability to put pressure on your opponent's team, especially if you're playing in a league, right? You can kind of be a hero in a league if you take out a really problem player. Everybody will lift you up on their shoulders and dance you around the store if you kill say I don't know, a 5-strength runner for Dwarves perhaps. But I think once she turns the corner there and really figures out how to make it hurt if you're trying to stall, or to really use all of the clock and make sure that your Radiger's trashing people the whole time and you're stepping on people, she'll be a lot better off. I thought she was always going to have an uphill battle against John, just because John is really, really good at positioning, especially with Dwarves into Skaven. And so he did manage to, she managed to put a touchdown on him, which was not the case for a lot of people in the league. So she besmirched his touchdown record. So, but yeah, he just stuck with it and then ground some rats into dust, and then, was able to put the ball in a couple more times.
Yeah, it seemed to be kind of the typical plan. Shout out to Jurgen's defense. If you go and look at the honors for the league, I think my favorite stat is when you look at best defense, I think Jurgen is second or third, and the other teams that show up on that top 5 listing are all teams that did not play an entire season. So he has, I think, less than half the touchdowns afforded of anything that has played a full season. So yeah, he's been just crushing it on the defensive front and on the offensive front as well. He's on both of those.
He's really showing what an 8-speed, 5-strength character with sure hands can do. Right?
Yeah. Up next, we got some Week 12 games. We got the Little Titans of Mayhem and the Metropolitan Dumpster Rats. This was a 2-1 win for Juan. And it looked like Morg was just doing Morg things.
Yeah, and Barbie was able to concede that game because she didn't have enough players at one point, so the touchdown differential could have been much higher if you're just running the ball in over and over and over again. Yeah, I mean, she got beat up over these last 3 games. We'll cover the third one here in a second, but I don't know how many total casualties she took. I think she took an entire Blood Bowls team worth of casualties during the course of those games. Or injuries, just in general. So let's see. It was 6 in the Jurgen game, only 4 in the Juan game. I think she had a bunch of KOs that didn't come back, and then finally 6 in the Title Terrors game. So yeah, an entire Blood Bowls roster worth of injuries in 3 games. So it's Skaven. That's the kind of like negative reinforcement cycle you can get into with a team where your team gets wiped every single game, and so you don't have anybody who has skills, and so you just go into the next game and get wiped again. Right. I mean, if Morg is just blasting 8 armor pieces off the table every turn, it's only a matter of time before you can just pack it up and go home. So
right. Up next, we got the Jolly Rotters under new management and Swamp People. It's a 1-0 win for Skoda, and we had a Skrull half-height mention.
Yeah, maybe he gets better in the next edition.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, he does, right? Maybe. I guess we'll talk about it more in the next edition, but there might be a rule that helps him.
Possibly,
so,
yeah.
If he can benefit from it.
Yes, but yeah, so Skrull, when I was looking at the game on Tour Play, as it started and seeing the money, I was like, he had money for Luther and Wilhelm.
Yeah.
Like the exact amount of money needed for that. And I think that probably would have been just a better option. Just have a mobile piece.
So Bryson's really new, and so it's possible he's not fully informed on how powerful specific undead players are and how awful the other undead star players are, right? Mm-hmm. Wilhelm, Luther, and Ivan are the 3 that stand head and shoulders above everybody else.
Yeah.
And then all of the other undead players are terrible. Like Grak and Crumbleberry probably clear quite a few of them.
You're telling me you don't like Gretchen Wachter?
Doesn't she cost like 320 or something like that?
I believe it is something like
It's something wild. I think she doesn't even have hands, right?
Yeah, but she has a shadowing.
So, yeah, Wilhelm, pretty good piece, especially if your opponent's got 4 strength, 10 armor dudes, right?
Right.
Wilhelm can do some work there. And Wilhelm also provides some much needed mobility and ball handling because he's got catch and 8 speed, right? So there's a lot of times where Wilhelm can pick up the ball and just he's gone.
Yeah.
You can give the ball to him and he's just out of there.
Yeah. Yeah. With that win, Skoda has his playoff hopes still alive.
Yeah.
Which we only have 3 games outstanding in the league now.
Yeah.
So we're getting close. We're very close.
Right.
We were hoping to get them all done before recording. But.
Yeah, and so there's one tonight, and then there's one tomorrow, and then depending on the result of those 2, the last one may not matter.
Right.
So, and we'll cover that a little bit later on. But
yeah,
yeah. So Skoda's fighting for that last spot, and that win helps him out quite a bit.
Yep. All right, week 13 games. We had one that a lot of people were watching. With some level of curiosity to see how much damage could be inflicted. It's Darn Tootin' and the Little Titans of Mayhem.
A very anticipated game.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people wanted Juan to lose, but have him inflict a lot of damage.
Yeah, I think that's... I don't think anybody is really like rooting for Juan to win any game.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
So...
especially not with Snotlings.
Yeah.
But, Jurgen kind of racked up a crazy death toll in that game, right? I think he had 8 casualties.
Yeah, it was pretty pretty nasty. I think that is like the average dwarf snotling game, though. There's a reason that I had that graphic that I made of how to talk to snotlings. So
yeah, and he took out Morg and a troll, right? And I think that at that point, going down one of the strength 5 or higher pieces makes it a little sketchy for snotlings, but going down 2 suddenly means that like the defenses are cracked open. Like if the giant is hitting one dwarf a turn or whatever, then the rest of the dwarves are just on top of snotlings, tearing them to shreds.
Yep.
So yeah, that's a pretty good. I think it's a pretty good indicator of what to expect in the playoffs if the two were to meet. I think it would probably happen very similar fashion. Maybe there's like an overtime involved. I don't know, but I think that's a Jurgen with this game makes his case for the favorite at this point, right?
Yeah.
He's saying, I am the team to beat. The road to the championship is going to go through me, one way or another. So, yeah. I'm not sure who. I'm sure you don't want that matchup.
Yeah. It's okay. I can't roll. I mean, I can't roll a 3 anyway, so tackle doesn't actually matter.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I think that's like the thing, and with the way, obviously, we're just spoiling. We're just like previewing all this playoff talk, but the way it plays out, that is potentially a round 2 rematch. That could be a quarterfinal rematch, based on seeding, because they will both be in the same bracket. So
yeah.
There's potential there that this was like a game that actually kind of matters. Like one might have to go in and kind of rethink a strategy a little bit, like maybe how he plays with Morg, how to keep him safe, something.
Yeah, he took Bomber, right? Did he? Is that correct? He took. Yes, so he took Morg and Bomber and a Wizard, okay, and the Giant, and Riot as rookies. So I think you need to take Skitter or Hackflim, because that gives you a way to score.
Yeah.
And a way to score fast, which I think you desperately need. You can't just because Jurgen could even like overdog. And for this game, he overdogged the Thorin Corenson, the sick dwarf biased ref, who's like really good. Okay. If your opponent's plan is to just foul over and over and over again, right? Jurgen could take like Cindy plus Thorin, and I think if you don't have a Hackflim or something like that, then your ball carrying plan is not safe versus Cindy. You just play Cindy on defense, and she's lobbing bombs at the cage every turn, and bombs add up against snotlings. I think you can actually peel a bunch of snotlings through clever use of explosives. So,
yeah, honestly, too, like when I played the snotling matchup in the playoffs a few seasons back, I took Cindy in a bribe. I also had a Death Roller on my roster.
Yeah,
and that's a piece that actually can just like even a rookie Death Roller could be like a pain to deal with for that snotling team.
Yeah, I mean it's something because you can just knock over the giant with it, right? And that's huge. I think if that snotling team has to pick up a giant or a troll every turn, right? Like if they're not just mobile and going where you want them to go, if the dwarf player gets to control where those pieces are on the match, on the field, limit the blitzes, limit the blocks. The big thing about dwarves is that they don't really get a chance to dodge a whole lot. And so if you can limit the snotling player's blocks down to just like a blitz, then you're probably going to come out way ahead in the attrition fight.
Okay. All right. Well, so we'll do more playoff talk later.
Yeah.
We got time. Up next, we had the Realm Gate Marauders and Taisho Charon. It's a 4-1 frog victory.
Yeah, a little a little late for the team to come together and trounce someone.
Yeah.
Chris needed that 2 games in a row. Mm-hmm. He would have been in better shape. Yeah. But at least you get to go out with the win with the Slan team here. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it looked like he was just hurting people left and right in that game.
Yeah, there's probably some there's interesting inducement plays by the human team, but I think that Fred had said that his sort of sub goal for the game, he didn't care about winning, he just wanted to kill that Croc score. So he was trying to... I wonder if he
even got even close.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see how that plan went. But up next, we have Renegades of Funk and the Barbarians. It was a very important game.
Yeah.
And to pull a motif from Arrested Development, James Tide.
From what I understand, this game was a nail biter for Sean. Mm-hmm. He got a black orc out early in the game, and he was feeling pretty confident, but I still managed to score. Apparently he did a good job of managing the rat ogre the whole time. Mm-hmm. And then in the second half, since Sean only has to play for a tie, he's set up and he's just gonna stall. But Ide makes a 6-up dodge with a black orc, and then throws 2 dice uphill and knocks the ball out of the hands of someone. And so on the last turn, Sean has to pick up the ball in the rain and do some other stuff, and barely ekes out the touchdown on turn 16 to win the game, to tie the game, mm-hmm. right, and make it into the playoffs. Yeah. Apparently that was much, much, much closer than he would have liked, just because Ide's not scared to go for the heroics, right? If the playoffs are on the line, and that was the playoffs right there, right? You made the play you needed to make. You just have to recognize it in that moment, right? It just didn't work out, which is kind of tragic.
Yeah. So that has solidified. That game solidified that Sean was locked in.
Yes. Yeah.
So he got us one piece closer.
Sean, I mean, his whole season has basically been one roll away from disaster, mm-hmm. right? So maybe his team is in a good enough spot for the playoffs. I don't love his chances, but if he can make some stuff happen in game 1, then I think that his route is a little bit cleaner. Mm-hmm. But I guess we'll have to see. So. Yeah.
All right. Up next, we have the Loki Rat Bastards and the Hamburg Harmers. This is my final halfling game. I think the chef was 1 for 6. I think my average.
It sounds like your chef for the whole season was
my average. I think it was about 1
of the 6 rolls.
Yeah, per game. I think so.
I wish I played against those halflings.
Yeah. So it was pretty. It sounds pretty rough, but I was able to do a good amount of damage. He took Skitter because he wanted a way to score, and
his gutter runner is missing the game, right?
Yes. So he took Skitter as a way to kind of hopefully be able to score. And the game ended up as a draw. I couldn't get the 1 turn. I couldn't get a 1 turn setup after he scored, and I was just kind of fouling stuff out. If that was one of those games where if it went to overtime or something, it was going to be. I think he had 4 players left.
Yeah, it looked like he had taken a lot of damage.
So it was a fun, more, I guess, casual game, I guess. He was more on the side. The way that I had set up the inducements going in was I put myself that he would be giving me 120 because I expected him to take Skitter, and him taking Skitter allowed me to get the chef and Rumbelow into rats is just into rats and goblins and snotlings. All of those are just good things. 1 assist is like you get free 3 die blocks on a Snotling. 1 assist gives you 3 dice on a Goblin. And, like there were not too many Skaven to worry about. So, yep, that was the end of this Halfling adventure. I think the best part of it was ending up on the fouling leaderboard. Playing 8 games versus everyone else's 13, getting into the top 5 for team fouls, and also Jeff getting to the top with of individual fouls, getting in that 5th slot. So very cool to see. Last game of the Skaven stand was the Metropolitan Dumpster Rats and Tidal Terrors. It's a 3-1 win for Clay.
I had to receive a phone call about bombing rules in the middle of this game because I think Barbie was using Bomber for the first time.
Oh. So
I think she even scored first in that game, but it's very similar to some of the other games where she was able to secure a touchdown, but then her team just kind of gets peeled. And so at some point you're defending with 4 players or 5 players, and it's very difficult to do anything when you're that badly outgunned. She did almost kill, I think, the dirty player Sneaky Get Skink in that game. She came very close. An Apothecary saved the Skink's life. So that's something to be said. I think Clay gained quite a few standings as far as the playoff hunt is concerned with the win there. And I think really kind of salvaged his season in the back half of the season. So he started real slow.
Yeah.
But at this point, his Lizardman team's kind of nasty looking. So.
Yeah. Does that put him into 6th?
Yeah.
So. Up next, who we got? We got the Wretched Foulfangs and mostly Nurglings.
Yeah. I mean, it looked like a Snotling game, right?
Yep.
I actually think that Sweltering Heat probably did Joel no favors there. When one team comes into the game with more people, then, Sweltering Heat is disproportionately bad for the team that's lower on players.
Yeah, and Joel has played typically a pretty high roster, 14 to 15 players, but that's not 23 or whatever you get with Snotling. So
Chase didn't have the reinforcements in the game, right, as rookies, but still 16, unless Morg or the Giant or some trolls get hit by Sweltering Heat, which is not unlikely.
Yeah,
it's not improbable for one of them to go down, maybe even 2. That's unlucky, but that's not cosmically unlucky for one of your players to go down, especially if a bunch of them get injured during the course of the game.
Yeah.
It's more likely that your guys that are still on the pitch will still get taken off. But
yeah, it seemed like a lot of the damage was one-sided, which also adds if you were suffering all the injuries in the game, and then you're also getting hit with Sweltering Heat, that's just going to compound in a really bad way for you.
Oh yeah. So. Yeah, that's why you if you have the option, you need to go into a game with some amount of reserves. Right. Strategically, you just need some amount of reserves. And that protects you from your opponent high rolling you early in the game. It also protects you against Sweltering Heat, right? Because you could randomly lose a D3 players on your team, and if you didn't bring D3 extra players, then you're going to start playing way down. So.
Yeah. All right. Up next, we got the other matchup of the week, I guess. Stardust 11 and the Necromantic State Hellhounds.
Yeah. So, obviously a grudge match. What's the Futurama quote? I don't like you and you don't like me. I like you. Yeah, John Jennings and I were chatting back and forth, trash talking each other as we typically do before we play, and he was convinced the game either nothing was going to happen in the game or the game was going to be a bloodbath. It was certainly closer to the latter. And that was there was almost a disaster in that game for both of us. We narrowly avoided our playoffs getting ruined. So starting the game off, we traded casualties really early. I took out the skilled Wraith. That felt pretty good. And he killed the Wrestle Tackle Marauder. And I apothecaried turn 2 to save it, because I wanted to make sure that the Wrestle Tackle guy was around for the playoffs. I did not want to lose a tackle player before the playoffs. Now, I knew that it was going to be dicey to do that, but I had brought a lot of extra players to the game. I went into it with 16, full roster. It gave him Luther and Wilhelm, and so I knew it was risky to do it there, but I really didn't want to lose that piece. And that piece ended up doing some critical stuff later in the game for sure. So I'm glad that I saved it. Now, I was playing KG with the Bloodspawn because I didn't want to commit it. The scenario I did not want is the scenario that I engineered later in the game, where I had the Bloodspawn. It was I think turn 3 before I even activated the Bloodspawn. It was mostly just kind of hanging around. And then on turn 3, I blitzed a zombie for 3 dice and didn't do anything to it. And then he had kind of committed slightly to one side of the field, and I wanted to reverse the field on him and try to bog down the flesh golems. I was trying to engineer just the Bloodspawn and my Corn Gorers versus, say, Luther or the Ghouls. And I think he even put his 4-strength Ghoul in reserve to start the game because he didn't want a chance for me to get to blitz it. So I send the Bloodspawn in versus a Flesh Golem. And I roll a both down and a push. And I very strongly consider taking the both down there just so that way I would stop moving. But I didn't want the Flesh Golem to just hit my Bloodspawn back. And the way the board was set up, he'd have to move some guard pieces in, but he also had Luther, so he could hypno gaze one of my pieces. He could get 2 dice if the Flesh Golem was still standing. So I pro, and I fail the pro roll. So I take the push. I push it, and he chooses not to stand firm, and that moves his piece back closer to where his the bulk of his team was, because he had he basically kind of circled the wagons and was keeping the ghouls and the strategic players kind of back some. And so I roll the frenzy hit. I roll push, and I decide to try to use a team reroll here. And I fail the loner to reroll it. So I have to push the Flesh Golem. And sure enough, he moves it back in there. So I'm forced to basically just commit my guard pieces in to try to make it an awkward block for him to throw. Or if something goes wrong with one of these other blocks, then he can't throw the hit back. And then I successfully reverse the field. I move my Corn Gore to the other side, and I give him kind of a loose screen, and Luther is 8 spaces away or from it or something like that, so it wasn't in a place where he could just run over there, hypnogaze one guy out of the way, and have somebody else go blitz it. And so he knocks the guard pieces around and then hits the Bloodspawn, knocks it over, doesn't break armor, and so I wasn't keen to stand it up, but he manages to free up a zombie, and the zombie steps on the Bloodspawn, rolls an 11 to break armor, rolls an 11 for the casualty. He rolls a 9, which is the same side of the die as the 16, and rolls a 9 to take the Bloodspawn out of the game, and I don't have an apothecary. So the Bloodspawn's out of the game. And I actually think at that point, I'm I think I've lost the game, because I really need that Bloodspawn. I needed to get if I can get his team kind of separated, and he wasn't letting me do that on defense, But if I can get his team kind of separated, and I can have like the Bloodspawn fight Wilhelm or the Bloodspawn fight like a Flesh Golem by itself, then I got a pretty good chance to take that piece off the pitch and just out of the game. But without the Bloodspawn, I don't like my chances to actually hurt anybody, and so I am kind of like forced to score, and he's got 3 turns to do it, which I figured might be kind of a stretch for Undead, but I get a bad scatter on the ball, and it lands like towards midfield, and so he's able to just go pick up the ball, and I can't quite. I get some like tackle zones on the ball, but he's able to use like Luther to hypno-gaze somebody out of the way, and then like a blitz, and then this guy just kind of runs in without having to roll dice after that. So the score's tied, and I'm kicking back to him. And so his line hits are casualty and kill a guy and get a zombie, KO somebody else, knock down the 3rd guy, and stun it. So he just peels him right off the line. Now, I brought all the extra players for that reason, because if he did that to like Bloodseekers, I was going to be furious, right? But instead, he did it to Marauders. And so I think I managed to like KO Wilhelm. I KO'd Wilhelm on like my first drive, but he came right back in. So I think I KO Wilhelm on turn 9 to sort of even up the playing field just a little bit. And then on turn 10, I casualty a zombie who regenerates. And I send in like the whole guard squad, because he's kind of like squatting at midfield because his goal is to try to like run the clock out on me, right? And so I put every guard piece that I have on his flesh golems, and he spends like 10 minutes trying to figure out how to get 2 dice on any of the pieces around him, and he can't. He was going to have to like move a bunch of his team over to try to get 2 dice with any of the flesh golems. So he decides to free up the guy with the ball and make a couple of dodges to get some ghouls and stuff away and run around to the other side. And then my turn 11 is like insane. I casualty a flesh golem. I KO a zombie. The wrestle tackle guy that I saved earlier in the game casualties and kills his block tackle dodge werewolf. But that werewolf does manage to regenerate to stay alive. And so I take 3 pieces off the board, and then I'm just like dogpiling his cage. He runs down the field, and I like mob him at that point. And he has to like he's like out of options, and he has to like blitz with his ghoul, and only because it's 4 strength was he able to get 2 dice with it. And then he has to dodge away from a bunch of tackle, which he fails the first roll, uses the team reroll to succeed, and then just like stumble into the goal line to reset the table. There's a timeout, and my drive isn't that particularly interesting because I just kind of like push right through his team, because like a lot of it at this point, he's down a flesh golem, he's down a bunch of stuff, and I get to kind of walk through his team and score. Just like a handful of dice rolls that were all pretty safe. So I didn't get any like crazy casualties on that drive, but I did do, I just was able to push him out of the way and tie it up. So obviously I would have liked to have won that game. I'm glad I didn't lose it necessarily. And I did get a bejesus load of star player points, which is always good. So,
yep. And with that draw, that locked up a couple slots. It locked up first and second.
Yeah. John was playing for first.
Yeah. Yep. So Wayne, he was not able to get. He needed a win to jump Wayne. Yeah. So did not get that.
A tie though also helped him out. Did a tie matter for his second place? I don't actually remember. I think it was second place regardless, right?
Believe so.
No, a tie put him into second place. He beat Henderson, so they end up with the same number of points, but he won the game versus Henderson, so he wins the head-to-head. So, yeah. If he had lost that game, I think he plummets to, like, 4th or something like that, right?
Yeah.
A tie meant that he was moved to second.
Okay. 2 more games. We got the Wolfpack and the Jolly Rotters. 2-0 win for Warren.
Yes.
Looking at the game, it was like Warren got an early touchdown and then got a very late touchdown.
Yeah, I think that's just the resilience of dwarves, probably, because it looked like there were some undead players that exited the game at various points, and the dwarves did not.
Yeah.
So that's probably Warren's experience advantage there, since Bryson's still pretty new. Even though undead is a better team, like a team experience than saying Black Orcs or whatever. But there wasn't like a ton of action in that game.
Yeah.
It looked like just some Blood Bowl of people slapping each other around occasionally. And Warren moves into a playoff spot for now with that win.
Yep. Yeah, more speculation to come.
Yeah.
But then our last game, we had Cloudburn Catastrophe and Looking for Trouble. A 2-0 win for Henderson. And that game solidified the top 4 in the total body division. So prior to that, like, there might have been some things that could have moved around depending on where he finished that game. But with a win, he's now he is third.
Yes.
So that is Wayne first, Jennings second, Henderson third, Coopin fourth.
Right.
And those are all locked, along with Chase, who is locked into seventh.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. We've got our in memoriam section for this week. We got some star players on here.
Yeah.
So we had Skitter.
Yep.
For the Metropolitan Dumpster Rats. Murdered.
Yeah, killed by, I think, a foul or something like that.
Probably.
Or more, who cares?
Yeah.
It's good riddance, Skitter.
Had Maverick Jr. as another line rat for the Metropolitan Dumpster Rats.
Yeah. So that model is cursed. I'll talk about that model real fast. That's the one that she put the poker hand on. And the rat has like the ace hidden on its tail. And I don't know what she does, but that model has been killed so many times. It's been injured or killed so many times. I think it's like some of the best work that she's done on like a modeling front. It's every time it gets hurt, I'm like, no, the cool rat, you know. But yeah, he's been murdered. I don't know how many times.
Yeah. Then we had Morg beaten down.
Yeah.
While playing for Little Titans of Mayhem. We thought a high strength player was going to die in that game. This was not the one we wanted.
Yeah, monkey's paw curls.
No. It would not be an in memoriam week without a low key rat bastard player on here. So we have Zahovas.
A snotling.
Yeah. I think that one got murdered by Rumbelow.
Yeah. Right. I mean, Austin, we appreciate your contributions to the in memoriam section, Austin. Thank you very much for playing in the season. So.
Yes. Thank you for padding our airtime in a most lovely way to talk about. Then we had the Russian Foulfangs Thrower, he who shall not have a name. I guess we shouldn't have even put that player on the in memoriam.
Yeah.
But yeah.
He who shall not have a spot on the roster anymore.
Yeah. And then finally Glue.
Yeah. He's the he got injured in the very first game. I think he got a niggling injury in that first game, and he's the only person on the team who started the season who did not earn a single star player point along the way. Not a single one. So I think it's fitting that he dies in the last game of the season. Now, he was reanimated as a zombie during the course of the game. So, take care of him, John.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get some SVP for you.
Yeah.
For John. You never know. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back and talk about some Season 3 Blood Bowl.
Season 3?
And some playoff stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So, we got two things to talk about now. We got playoff scenarios. We got Season 3. Which one do you want to start with?
I think we do Season 3.
Okay.
Because I think we can chat a little bit about what to expect as well, right? Because I think some people listen to the podcast for a decent amount of their news for the league. And so I think season 3 is unescapable, so we have to talk about it now.
Yes. Yep. Run from it; it'll still catch you.
Yeah.
With its very large mummies. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Brawler now.
Yeah, that's interesting, I think. But yeah, so if you have not fully caught up on the Warhammer community post, came out yesterday as of recording, and it's talking about the Season 3 edition box set, and it's going to be Tomb Kings, which a lot of people are speculating on, and Bretonnians, which I think caught some people by surprise based on the speculation.
I was shocked by it because the only other team of Legend that hadn't been made yet was High Elves, and they even kind of had the stinger there at the very end of the article teasing High Elves being just around the corner. So but yeah, I was not expecting Bretonnians. Now Bretonnians have been like a team in Blood Bowl for 20 something years or more, but they were never like an officially released team. There was never like a Bretonnian metal team from GW, but it had been long since a fan favorite, and they always looked pretty good because they had like some really badass knights on the squad that seemed really good. Now the preview for Bretonnians, I don't know what their stats are. I don't know what their cost are. There's a bunch of question marks, but the team seems insane.
Yeah, there's some like context clues you can kind of take from the article if you go through and read it. Like they mentioned like high armor for the knights, so we're probably looking at armor 10 models.
Yeah.
The way they described it on a second read as I was going through was they pushed it as like a high risk, high reward team.
Right.
Which I don't know exactly where that's going to lead.
So Dauntless is one of those skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dauntless, you have to risk some amount. And they did say that the Bretonnians aren't getting a big guy. So their team is just going to be the team that you see in front of you, right? They can't outsource like an ogre or whatever. Now, if you've got 2 like 4 strength Dauntless dudes who start with block and 10 armor, and if that player costs like, I don't know, 125k, that's probably a bargain.
Mm-hmm.
You probably don't need a big guy because those dudes probably just get in there and mix it up. Yeah. And they also have throwers and they have catchers, which was not something that the traditional team had. There were a couple of different teams that were floating around there for a while. They usually had like a sure hands model or something like that on the team. So I have no idea if the Bretonnian thrower will have sure hands. I think it makes sense for them to have pass, maybe they don't even have pass. Like if you're talking about high risk, high reward, getting rid of pass on a thrower sounds like a way to make it like a little bit more cost effective.
I believe that in the article it mentioned the throwers having pass, and the catchers having catch.
Okay.
And one or both of those positionals having nerves of steel.
Yeah. So here's the paragraph. They're backed up by 2 knight throwers and 2 knight catchers, capable players who pair pass and catch respectively with nerves of steel. There's no big guy, but Dauntless takes care of that. Finally, Squires bring wrestle and a can-do attitude to the party. And it also mentions that the Grail Knights have a skill called Steady Footing, which seems busted. It says, lets them keep their footing and stay standing on a roll of 6.
Yeah.
Which implies that like if you pal them and you roll a 6, then your player is just standing, which is insane.
Yeah. That, I think, obviously as we get closer to the release date, we'll probably get more clarification on the rules. But I think that is like the current, where you're seeing it's like, if you get knocked down as a result of a block, you can roll a 6 to see if you're still standing.
Yeah.
So that is...
it's crazy.
Yeah. Anything, I think, that's like one of those skills where it's like you will just... you never plan around it as the person who has it. Like, you can just always assume it's going to fail, and if it succeeds, that's a great bonus. But if you're the person throwing a block into this thing, you have to think about, like...
what happens if this doesn't work?
Yeah, 16% of the time, you're just going to be left staring down a knight. Yeah. So, how does that impact your play?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Bretonnians, I think a lot of people are going to be lined up to try this team.
Yeah.
For sure. And then also the Tomb Kings are returning. And it looks like from what it sounded like, the team is going to basically be the same, except the Tomb Guardians are picking up Brawler. Now, I think that is a slight nerf to the team, because it's very likely that the Tomb Guardians get more expensive. It's one of those nerfing something by making it more powerful. And so I think that helps out quite a bit, right? Like, I'm tired of playing against these damn Tomb King lists that have 4 Tomb Guardians and then also still have room left over for Luther or Cheney and stuff like that, right? So
yeah, I think I know we were talking a little bit about this yesterday after the article and kind of like going through it, and Sean, the renegade of the playoffs, I guess, was talking about how he felt that Games Workshop had maybe like slightly misattributed the type of game that Tomb Kings will play. Because in the article they mentioned that they see it as kind of like a bashy team, where for Sean, like Sean's perspective on it is like it's more of just like a board control. Like that's what the biggest thing of having the Tomb Guardians is. They're just big pieces on the board. They don't like have to throw blocks to be annoying. They're just stand up there and soak up space.
Yeah, and they could take up a lot of space, right?
Yeah.
You've seen it with stunty teams, halflings, gnomes, where just 2 trees working in tandem, spaced correctly, can eat up. They just have like a huge footprint on the table. And Tomb Kings with 4 strength 5 pieces, same type of deal. Huge footprint on the table. I mean, it's so hard to crack one of those cages, right? Like, it's just not easy to do. And then you still have a few other pieces on the table. You've got skeletons that you can sprinkle around just to make sure that they're taking up room and cutting off angles that could let the Tomb Guardians actually hit stuff.
Yeah.
And then at that point, all you really got to do is just pick up the ball with your throw raw and have him hide behind the Tomb Guardians, and eventually you'll get to the point where you can run the ball in.
Yeah, and I think like this adding Brawler might be a way for Games Workshop to sort of incentivize the style of play they want it to have.
Right.
I think they probably want to get away from the like board control stall out style of gameplay.
Yeah,
it's not the most exciting thing in the world.
Yeah, we can see if they did anything about that in this edition. And I don't think really at the end of the day there's nothing really wrong with that style. From like a strategic point of view, right? If they if rid of the prayers to Nuffle, because that was really the only way that you could punish stalling in the game.
Yeah.
If they get rid of prayers to Nuffle, then something else replaces that, and who knows what that looks like. Maybe it's around, but it's like changed. I don't know, right? We haven't seen the kickoff table yet.
Yeah.
They teased a little bit about Officious Ref leaving.
Yes.
Much to the celebration of a few members of the league.
Yeah.
It seemed like they're replacing it with something that nerfs a player.
Seems to be the idea. When you look, I think that is like the thing that we were left speculating on all of this stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
Outside of the things they have specifically told us, like Tomb Guardians getting Brawler.
Right.
But they showed these status markers, which are kind of similar to the third-party accessories that you've probably seen from some of the other like major companies making things for Blood Bowl, and one of them is titled Dodgy Snack.
Right.
So
there's actually a couple of interesting ones that it's like there's no telling what these are, right?
Yeah.
The eye gouge, the chomp, the dodgy snack, like those. There's no concept of those as of right now, right?
Yeah.
There's like a sorcerer, like the witch or whatever, can give something minus a bunch of stats. So maybe Dodgy Snack works like that. Maybe it works like Greasy Cleats. Maybe it works like a couple of other things. Maybe they get Loner and minus stats or something like that. Like if Officious Ref just doesn't eject a player, but it makes them much worse for a drive, that's a little bit different than the player just being ejected from the game with no recourse.
Yeah.
You could at least adapt your game plan around one of your players being suddenly worse.
Yeah.
Instead of, this player is removed from the board.
Yeah. Like if you have a vicious ref, someone gets sent off on your line,
Yeah.
and then you're just like stuck, like in a situation. There's like so many ways for a vicious ref to just snowball into worse things. I think there have probably been games in maybe not this specific season of the league, but I'm sure there have been league games decided by like a turn one officious ref removing a player and just all of that cascading into oblivion.
Yeah. So I think Will's playoff game in season 2 happened that way. I think his best black orc got ejected from the game. I was playing against Chris. This may have been season 3 or 4. That was back when he had the Tomb Kings. Funny enough, he was playing Tomb Kings at the time. He had that 8-speed Frankelheimed Blitzer that had extra arms. And that Blitzer got a Fish's Reft on his kickoff. And it was one of those where it's like, oh, I don't have to play against his best player? Okay, nice. Sick. Right? That can't happen anymore. So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, another change that I mentioned was they're removing wildly inaccurate passes.
Yes, it's probably back to just being fumbles again. And like a great point that was raised in the Discord by Chase was like there was never a reason for there to be 2 different results for one. Right? That's a little antithetical. I know they were trying to fix the punt problem, right? Like if you just take the ball and just throw it across the field, to an empty square, just target something empty and throw it. You know, that's what I think Wildly Inaccurate was trying to address.
Yeah.
Imperfectly. But that's what it was like trying to fix. Now, if it's just back to being a fumble again, who knows, right? Like, I guess we'll get to see how that plays out. But that certainly makes bombs worse, right? I'm happy about any changes that make bombs worse in this version of the game. So
very fair. Let's see. Other things got mentioned. We have the keyword system.
Yes.
So did not get like a ton of insight onto what that is going to look like, but it did mention it's supposed to, sort of like smooth out.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's supposed to clean up the rules. And they already use keyword stuff in their other games. So it's like it's time for a Blood Bowl to come into the fold with the rest of them, right? Like in 40K, you have grievous wounds and stuff like that when you're looking at like a data sheet, and it's telling you what you get, right? As long as you know how grievous wounds work, you know how it works for every single model. It's the same type of thing here, like distracted, right? Distracted is losing your tackle zones, but keywording it means that hypnotic gaze and bonehead put the model in the exact same state. Now that's probably one of the more clear examples from the previous, but there were a lot of other things that were not as clear. How like say tentacles and diving tackle work together or something like that, right? There's a lot of that stuff where now with some choice keywords, the rules just get much more clean.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to seeing how these keywords shake out. Like once we can get our hands on the book and kind of actually read through it, we'll probably have to do like a rule book, a recap episode when it comes out.
Yeah, for sure. So. I mean, like it just in the article it mentions like an eye gouge skill. Like if they get rid of, I still think you should have enough skills to be random, right? I actually love the random skill assignment for players the way it exists right now. Who knows if players still advance the same way, but I do like the choose versus random nature that exists as of this moment.
Yeah.
Hopefully that stays intact, but say like eye gouge, for instance, says it prevents a player from offering assists. Maybe that's different than defensive, right? Or maybe that takes the place of defensive. Now, defensive, I think, is a good skill.
Yeah.
But making eye gouge a thing that you have to like utilize to shut off assists, that's certainly interesting.
Yeah, like that might be a way to shut off guard on your turn, or something like that.
Yeah.
Where it's like defensive only works on your opponent's turn for your players.
Right.
Being able to that is the thing that I think a lot of people end up with. It's like the reason that Jaguars are so annoying is because you get defensive and guard. They get together. you can never like they're shutting off all your guard assists. The other one's giving guard assists to each other. If you could like shut one instance of that guard off,
yeah,
that's like something that like that might be a skill you think about taking on something like, or you just randomly get it on like a goblin or something.
If eye gouge is a skill and it is like a special action you can take with the player, and it's like hypno gaze, but more players can have it, and it doesn't shut off tackle zones completely, it just shuts off guard. You can have like one of your players go up, jam their thumb in somebody's eye, and then now suddenly you get a 2-die block somewhere that wasn't the case before, right?
Yeah.
I'm all about things that make the board more tactical. And so something like this eye gouge certainly seems that way, right? So, and yeah, I don't know. I'm super pumped to see where it goes. I think the box itself is probably going to be a fine bargain. It doesn't look to be the crazy bargain that Blood Bowl Season 2 was, because you don't have big guys and you don't have star players. However, I guess we will get some star players in those Spike magazines. We might finally see Ramtut the Third. He's always been like, he's been one of those Morg or Luther style Cadillac chassis for star players. He's always been like 6 strength and block and stuff like that, right? Like he's always been a beat stick. Who knows who the Brotonian star players are going to be? Yeah. I don't know if they've ever had any like in an official way. There might have been some in some of the video games that I never played, but I'm excited to see what they do as well.
Yeah. One more thing we got to talk about: securing the ball.
Yes, yeah, that's the big one. That's the one we alluded to multiple times, but we didn't actually touch on. Yeah. An action that ends your turn, but it lets you pick up the ball on a 2+ as long as a whole bunch of conditions are met. And that feels like a buff to a lot of teams who needed it.
Yes.
And an indirect nerf to, say, elves.
I think it's... Yeah, I think...
Because that's the advantage of playing elves. You 2-up and you succeed, right?
Yeah.
Now, elves can go pick up the ball on a 2-up and still go do other things. But if I'm like playing orcs or I'm playing chaos or lizard men and I go to pick up the ball on a 2+, I have to end my move right there. Maybe that sucks. But I wonder if that works in the rain, right? Let's assume they don't touch weather.
Yeah.
Which is a big assumption. Maybe they do. Who cares, right? Like I've always liked weather in Blood Bowl. Yeah. I like how most of the time you're playing a normal game of Blood Bowl, but every once in a while something wacky enters.
Yeah, I think that it could be like a thing where it's like it is still considered picking up the ball. So maybe in pouring rain you have to do it on a 3+ instead of a 2+. But even then, I think it's still like a very valuable skill. And I think to me, like, so my immediate thought when looking at it, I was like, oh, this makes Nurgle like playable.
Yeah.
Because that's like one of the things, one of the hardest things to do with Nurgle is pick up the ball. And you can kind of put yourself into like a skill tree developing a player that can hold the ball once they pick it up. But your players are also typically resilient enough that they can like take a hit and like not be completely like left out to dry. It's like one less skill you have to kind of worry about. So there's a chance that securing the ball is going to be like really good for a team like that, a team that I have kind of avoided in league play just because of the inability to score. But like that makes it to where, you can score 2 touchdowns in a game if you can actually just pick up the ball.
Yeah.
Like you're fairly slow to get to, like, it takes you a while to build its momentum anyway. But like the season I played Nurgle, half my turns ended after trying to pick up the ball and it still was on the ground.
Yeah.
Because I rolled a 2. So if I could just have the ball,
yeah,
I'd like it. I think that the other thing with securing the ball though is it places a lot of extra value into other skills. So to me, like one is like kick is a big one.
Yes. And strip ball is better, right? If everybody can pick up the ball on a 2, then a lot of people are going to skip out on sure hands, and now strip ball is better, right?
Yeah.
Assuming strip ball is still in the new edition, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I would say, like, I think another skill that randomly gets, like, a side buff would have been Monstrous Mouth because it works on a catch.
But it's
it worked on a catch.
Yeah.
But now seems like it's getting reworked to chomp people.
Yeah, and whatever that means, and it also feels like maybe Guffle Pus Maw was designed with the revamp in mind.
Yeah.
Right, because he's like a weird piece that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. When you look at him as he was, right?
Yeah.
But if suddenly Monstrous Mouth actually does something offensively, tactically on the board.
And if that sticks around as a mutation, you have a lot of little... I don't know. I mean, I think there's like so many fun things you could do with that. Just have a gutter runner going around biting people on the ankles.
Yeah. Who knows how it works, right? Like, I honestly have no idea. Yeah. Maybe it's like a penalty to movement. I don't know.
Yeah.
It could be anything at this point.
Yeah. It's going to be... It'll be interesting to see. Obviously, we're still very heavily in speculation mode. We probably got... Maybe a few weeks to talk about it, I'm sure.
Yeah, maybe chomped is like animal savagery. Could be, right? Like, so something that applies a negative bonus to opposing characters, you could have a model apply that to your characters as a payment to use something, right? Like animal savagery could move in that way, where you chomp one of your own players, and then your model continues to activate the way that would, right? So
yeah, we've got all kinds of stuff to get figured out for this.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there'll be some, hopefully, new star players to talk about. Maybe some fixes to other star players.
Yeah. So I guess it's also worth saying we are going to try to time the next season around the launch of the box. That's the current plan. And so look for a short-term solution, which we're throwing out there Secret League teams. Since it's a secret. Since all the rules are getting rewritten anyway, let's play with some of the goofy secret teams. It'll be relatively low stakes, and we won't necessarily know how long the Secret League would last. It'd probably be pretty fast. It might be one of those where we're going to say 8 weeks or something like that. Or we could say 6 weeks, but if the box gets put up for pre-orders, then we may have to cut it short. Something along those lines. We don't know when. Traditionally, the Secret League, the Blood Bowl boxes have come out. The 2020 came out in November of 2020, so no telling when that actually will show up for us. Usually if it's announced, it's right around the corner, but I have not seen it on pre-orders yet. I haven't talked to the Games Workshop rep this week, and usually they don't know anything about the dates. They know, all they know is what they are told by corporate. So, but yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah. Well, we got one more thing to talk about. That is our final scenarios for playoffs. So before we get into where we're at, so 13 of the 16 teams are locked into place.
Yes.
We've got 3 games outstanding, 2 of which matter greatly. One of those is happening tonight as of this recording.
Yeah.
That's me and Halen battling it out. So with a win or a draw, I would move up to 5 and
eliminate
Halen.
Yeah.
And you will be at 6. So by the end of tonight's, 15 of the 16 will be locked in.
Yeah.
Like that, like regardless of winning or losing. If I lose, Halen's still live, technically. But with a win, regardless of if I lose, I'm 6th. If I win or draw, I'm 5th. So that's and then you will be whichever one I am not.
Right.
So, yeah. So first few sevens are locked after that. Tomorrow night, we've got the Soul Peak Dooms and Swamp People.
Yes.
And that one could wrap the league, potentially.
Yes.
With a win by Skoda.
Correct. A draw by Skoda eliminates them both.
Mm-hmm.
A Skoda win puts him tied with Warren, and then he's got the head-to-head, so Skoda jumps to 8th.
Mm-hmm.
A tie means Skoda doesn't have enough points to beat Warren. Warren gets in. Mm-hmm. If Jack wins, Jack still has a game outstanding with Halen. Mm-hmm. And if Jack wins that game, he goes to 12 points.
Yeah.
Sorry, he goes to 13 points.
Mm-hmm.
Jumps ahead of Warren. Even though I think Warren beat him when they played.
Yeah.
So a Skoda draw kills them both. Mm-hmm. A Skoda win puts him in the playoffs, and then makes the Jack and the Halen game not matter.
As long as I win.
As long as you win, yeah.
If I lose, then Halen with a win against Jack, and Skoda with a
win against Jack,
win or draw, either way, would impact.
So I think you need a Skoda win, because then it goes to the 3-way head-to-head, and then at that point the head-to-head is thrown out the door, and you have to go to like the differential. Mm-hmm. So yeah, let's hope it doesn't come to that.
Yeah. The entire league hangs in the balance of 3 games. It's wild.
Yeah,
after 180 or whatever. Games
there actually a handful of games in the last week that didn't matter, which is wild, because I don't think that's been the case.
Yeah.
I don't think you've had this many games that have mattered for playoff purposes.
I think it was only like 2. I think my game in Austin, and then Fred and Chris.
Yeah.
I think are like the only 2 that had 0 impact.
There are a lot of people who are eliminated, but a win or a draw from them would determine what happened to their opponents, right?
Yep.
And so, like even if you know you're not in the playoffs, it can be fun to hurt somebody. So yeah, you just try to leave a mark on your way out the door. So.
No. So yeah, that is. That's what we got to look at.
So the tentative bracket. You've got 2 brackets, right? And so the way we work it is we take all of the odd numbers from one division and all of the even numbers from the other division, then flip them and then pair them against each other, and then do the opposite. So the first bracket is Jurgen as the 1 seed. Versus the 8th seed, which is currently Warren, but could be Skoda or Jack or Halen, depending on how those games play out. Mm-hmm. And then you have 4 versus 5, which is Juan versus Coop. So there's a world where Juan wins, Jurgen wins, and they have a rematch based off of a game they already played. And then below that is Jim versus me if you win, or you if you lose. Mm-hmm. And then Ness and Jennings on the other side of that bracket. Yep. So the winner of those 2 games play each other, and then the winner of that will play the winner of the other side for a spot in the finals. The second bracket is Will versus Chase, Clay versus Henderson, Sean versus either me if you lose, or you if you win. Mm-hmm. And that is Undead Sean.
Yes.
And then Wayne versus the Renegade Sean. So you've got a chance at some Revengence.
Yes.
Metal Gear Solid Revengence if you win tonight and then manage to beat Sean.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a matchup I am looking for. I think I haven't played Sean outside of the Halfling game. I haven't played Sean in a year. I think it was the North season. Yeah. So I definitely want another shot at him.
I don't think I got to play him in that season. That was my La Vampire season?
I think
No. I think that was Necro. No, Necro lost to Maria. Yeah, it was vampires.
Yeah.
That was the vampire season because Juan went into that game and lost it with vamps.
Yes.
Yeah. When was the last time I played Sean? I can't remember. It was last season.
Mm-hmm. Right
Anyway. But yeah, so there you go. That's the brackets as they stand with like a couple of things that can change. So hopefully by the next time we talk, we'll either have more stuff about season 3 to talk about, or more stuff about the playoffs to talk about. So
yeah. And which one it will be, you'll find out next week on The Right Stuff. As long as you are listening and following and liking wherever you are listening and giving us feedback, whatever it takes, you can hold up a sign at ESPN Game Day with The Right Stuff logo on it. If you want, we'll send you a high-res image. You can take it and share it there.
Lee Corso puts on the Bretonian deer helmet.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have to do a game day style playoff pick. Run through. Be great. Someone has to bring their dog. If you have a dog you'd like to volunteer for a game day conversation, we'll take that as well. But thank you for listening, wherever you are listening from, and we will catch you next time.
Yeah, goodbye, everybody.